The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is all about your mental wellness and how you can help yourself navigate the daily highway of life. We hope to educate and motivate you to help improve your mental wellness environment. Our show is brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency serving the Siouxland community. Our topic today is being non-judgmental. Joining me is my co-host, Brenda Geisinger, Chief Operating Officer of Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I am wonderful. How about you?
Well, the heat has arrived, so stay hydrated.
Sizzling summer.
Here we are. We're in the summer now. It's officially summer. Woo-hoo. Brenda, would you please introduce our guest in today's topic?
Today we have Rosie Stronk with us. She's been with us numerous times. Always a delight to have her here and hear her wonderful words. We're going to talk about being non-judgmental. You know, we have that saying, don't judge a book by a cover, and we do that a lot, I think, almost every day. And so we're going to talk about that and how to be non-judgmental.
That sounds great. Rosie, welcome. Glad you're here. It's always good to see you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, let's define what is non-judgmental. Let's get this all framed.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of go a little different for you, Art, a little bit. When I thought about this topic, I was driving down the street and I was listening on the radio. And on the radio, they showed this little boy. They were doing this blurb on being judgmental, and this little guy, this guy was interviewed, and he had a situation where this kid was teasing him about his shoes. And the little boy said, you know, it's not about my shoes. My shoes are not going to be here 5 years from now. It's about who I am. It's about my mind. It's about being careful about not judging other people about things. And that just inspired me going, you know, we tend to judge people sometimes wrongly, but judgments are part of our life. You know, our brain makes judgments all the time. And having judgments are also our guideposts too.
Right.
You know, they kind of tell us, right, this is okay, this is good, positive, this is a good thing. And then they also tell us that maybe this is not so good a thing, and we need to take inventory about that and maybe stop and not do something. And then we have just our neutral kinds of things. And so judgments are filters that come in and out of our brain. So we're all judgmental.
We were given choice. When
Yes.
you have choice, this comes up. So let's. Why does it matter?
Why does it matter in regards to judgment?
Judgments. Why being judgmental, non-judge? Why does it matter?
Well, because we look at we have a moral compass. We have our life experiences. We have situations that we've grown up with that give us, I call them our guideposts. And it tells us, you know, hey, maybe this isn't safe and we need to take a stop. Like when we get a new job, we're judgmental about, is this job going to work for us? Is this going to be a right fit for us? And so we take inventory about things, and it's our opinion. And so those are good things in respects to trying to figure out what works for us. And so judgments not necessarily are bad. It's when it becomes toxic. And then that is when it kind of moves into a different direction for us. But judgments are, I kind of think they're selective. They're our guideposts. They tell us things. And we need to kind of listen to them. But we don't have to make them be, that's the only way.
So judgments can really form our opinion of something, and that opinion with poor judgment can be wrong. And then we act off of our opinion. And so I guess we all do it.
Oh, we do it all the time.
So what are judgments like? I know we're going to talk a little bit later about our personal experiences. I'll share one with you. But what are judgments? What are we talking about?
I think sometimes we make judgments about people, when you first meet them. Your brain within 11 seconds is kind of deciding what category this person's going to be in. Friendly, not friendly. You will engage further in conversation. In relationships, you can be in an argument and all of a sudden you start making judgments. They're out to get me, they're mad at me, and that could be completely off. So judgments, like Rosie said, can be beneficial for you to gauge life, but then they can also be a detriment in how to have a healthy, good, enriching life. So I think sometimes with life, judgments can be beneficial, and other times, they can be a detriment on how to have a healthy life.
I'm Aunt Silva, and along with Brenda Geisinger and our guest clinical therapist, Rosie Strunk, and we're discussing being non-judgmental. Let's go to what happens when a person is overly judgmental.
Well, I think we all need to take a look at sometimes when we become overly judgmental, because I think we all do that from time to time, where we become, overly pessimistic or overly critical about a situation, or we're looking at a circumstance or a person and putting a lot of negativity to it, and we're not open to possibilities with it. It's sometimes we can engage in kind of black and white thinking, and we don't see the gray, because there's a lot of gray out there in our lives.
For sure.
So I think when we look at being overly or kind of toxic judgmental, we're maybe not looking at the bigger picture of things, and we're being very tunnel vision. And sometimes when we're tunnel vision, that then creates issues with other people around us. It can create more stress. It can just create some differences for a person.
Well, I think when we look at being judgmental, we've all done it. And
Yeah,
I think I label my biggest faux pas when I made a wrong decision. Mm-hmm. And to this day, it haunts me because this person will not let me off the hook. I ran into a friend of mine. I hadn't seen her for a while. And I knew she was pregnant the last time I saw her. And I asked her when she having her baby. And she said, I had it 6 months ago. So, that Southwest commercial, Want to Get Away? I mean, she reminds me. So, Terry, I am really sorry. It's Terry Rexius. It's funny now, but at the moment, I couldn't find the hole deep enough to jump into.
Yeah.
Do you have any
yes,
personal?
I have one. My niece was dating and ended up marrying this young man who had tattoos all over. My mother, old school, tattoos mean something different in a sense. And so she had just a real hard time, seeing beyond the tattoos. And so I kept telling Mom, you have to look at the person, experience the person. All you're looking at is the tattoos, and you're judging this person by tattoos. And so I just remember that so clearly, and she ended up loving this young man. But, it was...
Was it when he did the tattoo that said Mom?
No. No. But, years ago, certain things were viewed a certain way. Being a certain religion, I'm Catholic. And years ago, you had to marry somebody who was Catholic. That was the way it was. That was the judgment of the whole thing. And obviously, growing up with that, you have that, but then you start to broaden your view on scope on that, and there's lots of people out there who are just as good, not necessarily just Catholic. So there's a lot of things that we've experienced. I remember my mother's the most. Don't judge this young man by the tattoos.
I love it. I can just see it, Boy, that's funny. How about you, Brenda?
Well, I'm going to kind of build off Rosie's story. My daughter has tattoos, and I remember when she first got hers, and I was like, oh, Lord, here we go. And I had judgments about it. What's going to happen to her career? How is she going to deal with this? People are going to put her in a different category. And I myself now have tattoos. So
there you go.
Well, you've come a long way.
I have.
Well, now you bring up this topic. I just talked today about this. Tattoos that are visible and tattoos that are not visible. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that somebody said, tying into career, They don't want, to show that they're visible, but it's a state of time, it's state of the culture. Time is the time. People, the piercings and the tattoos, and I find myself looking at some of these tattoos and admiring them. The artwork is absolutely fantastic. So that's a good point. Talk about Brenda opened the show with "Can't Judge a Book by Its Cover," and boy, that hits
it right there.
Right there. Hey, we're coming up on our break, so enjoy the dawn of another beautiful day. We'll be right back here with more of When Things Aren't Going Well, right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ.
Let's face it, that happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. Let's continue our discussion on being non-judgmental with Brenda Geisinger and our guest Rosie Strong. So let's ask the question. We spent the first half of our show talking about the symptoms of a judgmental person. We define what judgments are. How about if we do the test right now, are you a judgmental person? And if you are, we're going to talk about a few things that you can do to help you. So I'm going to throw it out to my two lady guests here. First is going to be turn the negative into a positive. I think you touched on that, Rosie, a little bit. And when you talked about the little boy and what you saw and how you kind of turned that around. So that's one of the things, find another, everybody's got faults. So there's a silver lining in everything. So find that out and go from there. Train your mind to be looking, to be compassionate. Train your mind to look for things.
And I think that's a good point in the sense of train your mind, because we're all judgmental. I mean, I'm judgmental. I mean, we just are. But I think that when we are able to click into those judgments that are coming through our mind and slow them down and stop and think, then we can take a look at something a little bit more on the openness rather than having the tunnel vision. But and we have to train our mind. We have to work on that. Yeah.
Another one is consider how you'd like others to see you. I'll share a story when I had the dealerships. 5 o'clock was a tough time because everybody wanted to pick up their car from service and pay the cashier. And some people could get ugly at that time. And they couldn't see how ugly they looked, and they would take it out on my cashier, yelling at her and everything, so we had to do something. What I did was I put a mirror behind the cashier, and you wouldn't believe how that fixed the problem, because if people see how they look, they won't do it. So consider how you look when you're getting like that and judgmental. It's not putting your best foot forward. How about we do this? Make a game of giving the benefit of the doubt. Keep score. Give the benefit of a doubt to somebody and see if it went the way you thought it was going to go or not. But give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. In regards to that, I remember being in the grocery store. There was this family and this mother who had kids, and they were just creating a lot of havoc. And so I was thinking, something's wrong. So I went, and at first I was thinking, oh, she's parenting and the kids, whatever. And so I went up to her and I said, do you need some help? She goes, yes, I need some help. I got to get to the hospital. I got to pick this up first. And so I went and helped her. And, and I think about how at first I looked at it from a certain way, found out it was something different.
That happens a lot. How about, here's a big one, eliminate insecurity. How insecurity drives our judgment of looking at, people looking at me, I'm not too sure, and a new job example that you gave when you walk in. So try to eliminate insecurity. Easier said than done, but we're just trying to identify some of the.
Well, sometimes when you talk about insecurities, being judgmental can be a defense mechanism. That can be our protective, being overly judgmental can be our defense mechanisms, because it can be a protective shield. It's like, okay, this is mine and this is yours and I'm going to protect mine kind of stuff. And so, that can be a part of the process too for a person.
Here's a big one. I don't know if this will ever stop, but cut the gossip. Gossip is one of the biggest transmission of judgments, pro or con, whatever way you're looking at it. But
Well, you also have to think about who's sending the gossip.
That's right. Don't get caught up in the negativity of a social group. And when we talked about that, we see it with social media, and it can just lead you down a negative trend. So, cut the gossip. And be careful there. Fault the action, not the person.
Oh, that is so important, Art, because sometimes we look at the action as the person, and the action might be something totally different that's going on at the moment, but it doesn't necessarily represent who that person is and what that person's personality is and stuff. I think that's a really important one, is to, you can look at the action, but separate it out from the person.
Everyone makes mistakes, and so pointing out a mistake, it's bad action to point it out. Try to point out something that maybe you could benefit or learn from that, or what would you do different next time. But we often do that too much, and I've done it, and I've learned from it, because you see the results of that, and you destroy the person, and how productive can they be now? Go after the action, work on the process. Imagine saying your thoughts out loud. How about that? Would
I don't know if that would come across real well sometimes, because our mind does lots of things inside our head. And
of course, you say, he or she's a lousy driver. You say that, right? Yeah. No. What?
Yeah.
Imagine what you're saying, your thoughts out loud.
Yeah.
Remember now, we have weird habits. We all have weird habits. So before you start judging somebody else's action, you may want to think about yourself. You say, wait a minute now. I got my own little weird things that I do, my own little idiosyncrasies. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Be careful on that. How about this, Rosie and Brenda? Practice mindfulness.
That is so important. There's that's just a big important part that we sometimes lose, is being mindful. And when we're mindful, we're slowing down, taking inventory of the moment, and not reacting to the moment, but opening up ourselves to the experience of it, and not judging it, but being open to it.
Here's a big one for everybody. I think we could all learn from it. You listen on Sunday in church. Learn to be compassionate. Learn compassion. If you think you're having it rough, there's always somebody that's having it a lot rougher. So, learn compassion. Put compassion in your mind, and that'll help with your judgments and how you look at things and as you go forward. Before we leave our show today, I want to talk about how do we treat our kids? How do we train our kids to be non-judgmental? What do we do with our children?
I think that's important for us, because one of the things that we show by our behavior. So as parents or people, how we act, the language that we use, I think that is really important. The language that we use is helping, showing the bigger picture of things, to not just take whatever that person, child, or whatever is doing, but to look at maybe there's other things that we're missing. So we let children know that there's maybe more to the story than what we really believe that might be happening right now. Sometimes having them experience different cultures and different life circumstances helps them open up and looking at what's out there that I haven't really looked at. I think about when I grew up on a farm, pretty small culture area. When I went off to school, it was like a whole nother world opened up to me. And experiencing that opened up my sense of being judgmental about different people, circumstances, experiences. And so as parents and as people, letting children know that there's more out there, not just to judge this certain situation.
I think it's also good for kids to learn how to deal with when they feel being judged, because then it helps them have that empathy and how to learn not to be judgmental.
Really interesting. We deal with children, and it's first impressions last forever. And when they're bad impressions, we do what we can to correct them. And we've been successful with that. So, but, the children are our future. The children are our investment. And I think the earlier we get upstream with this problem and teaching and reinforcing these values, the better we're going to be as a whole society. We're coming up towards the end of our show, and every week we try to end our show with a joke. Humor is medicine for the soul. So here's today's joke. So many people these days are too judgmental. I can tell just by looking at them. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Rosie. And also to our listening audience for tuning in. A shout out to Paul Gosman. Thanks for the service to Sioux City, the great job you've done here with our schools. And we want to wish you continued success in Lincoln. We're always looking to add to our family. So if you're looking for a career change or to start a new career, please call our HR manager at 293-4700 or email us at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. All small print, boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. We have immediate openings for full and part-time positions, so if you need some extra cash, give us a call. When things aren't going well, we'll be right back here next Saturday morning at 7 a.m. on 1360 AM 94.9 FM KSCJ. Your homework this week is to have a good laugh and may the sun shine on you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
For more information on the services provided by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, see them online at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. Or you can call 712-293-4700 to get more information about family services, residential treatment, the Opportunity School, the Siouxland Family Center, and more. At Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, we change lives. We change lives. We change lives.